Okay, I after the Bible study, I was watching it back over, and there are a couple things that I didn't realize while we were going over this that were actually really interesting points. I didn't see this except for when I went back over it. And I don't know if it means anything, but I I said that the description for this picture in the Catholic Church, I wasn't paying attention to the green horizontal lines here where it was the green ground beneath the figures is presented in four horizontal layers which grow darker as they recede. So you have lines in their counterfeit image in this what looks to be like a chiasm structure, like a mirror image. And the fact that the top of it is in the shape of a parabolic curve, I didn't even catch, even with this image being right on top of it. I did not actually see that. I don't know if that means anything, but it's definitely something to look at. And the other thing is when it comes to that parabolic waveform, okay, that's fine. When you look at that parabolic waveform in that model of the angel's messages, you have one following the other. So the first one will arrive on the scene in the sky, and then it'll make touchdown with the earth. And the next one will come because generally their pattern is that they follow each other. And then the third one, this line isn't looking very good, but you understand what I'm trying to say. And then what I started to see here is there's another parabolic waveform. In our lines, we know there's lines throughout history where God renews his covenant periodically with his people when they're gathered together, they get new light. A covenant is reestablished. And if his covenant, the symbol of his covenant, is in itself a rainbow, a rainbow, which is a parabolic waveform, and it has multiple lines in it because it has different colors. And each color means something different, and each color is a different part of the covenant. It might be representing a different part of the message that we're coming into covenant with. And for a time, if the covenant is rejected and there's rebellion, where did I? That covenant is suspended until it comes back and we remake that covenant with God. So you have this rainbow constantly appearing, which is the same waveform line. And Jesus is at the center of this one when he's coming back. So you have, oh, and I didn't realize, you have the beginning, and you have 1,000 years, a little bit more, and you have a rainbow covenant. And then you have the history of the world, and then you have Christ coming with the rainbow covenant. And then you have another 1,000 years in heaven while this earth rests. So I'm gonna, and that's the end there, which is making me go back to that chiasm that we were talking about with Egypt on either side. So this is possibly another witness to that, is this rainbow parabolic waveform that I didn't realize. Another thing, on that line, where is it, with the angels, this, once God's people reject the message, They go into darkness. So you have here darkness, and you have here light. So this is one day. So one waveform, which connects, let's say, what it connects is two of the closest reform lines. So you have one reform line here and you have one reform line here. This is the end of this reform line right here. And then you have the start, and well, the next reform line would start here. It starts with day, and the perpetual pattern is, as time goes on, God's people go into darkness. So it'll start with day and it'll go into darkness. But for this reform line, the one that we're in right now, and usually when people come into a reform line, the only structure you're concerned with is the fact that you've just come out of darkness. So you've just come out of the night and you've gone into the day. So the reform line structure happens with this parabolic waveform. It happens in the structure of a day. A reform line really, then, I guess, if you think about it, if a day starts with darkness and it ends with light, well, technically darkness is here again, but if this is one day, then the reform lines would then be starting here. So this is one reform line. It starts with the darkness. And it starts at the rejection of the prior group, which would be the prior reform line. Where they rejected, our new day starts. It starts off in darkness, but then it turns into light towards the end. So I didn't realize that. And so as the messengers leave, as the message is closed up, as in Jesus' time when the understanding of Daniel was sealed up, and then again when the understanding of Daniel was sealed up in the Millerite time, you had the people going into darkness here. And then 1989, they would come out of darkness. So that center point would be the coming out of darkness point. Isn't it? I'm just thinking out loud. I'm trying to follow some thoughts through. But this here with the rainbows, I hadn't realized before. Anyways, I just wanted to put that additional information there because I didn't realize that at the time. So I hope this helps and is useful. Okay.